Hey class, it is Mrs. Gilling back here again, and we're going to go over your Unit 4 video assignment and talk about your project requirements for Unit 4. But before we do that, let's go into our joke of the unit. You ready? Why did the kid study in the airplane? Because he wanted a higher education. Get it? Because it's flying higher than. All right, it's got vacation on my mind or something. Maybe I need to go on a trip to Hawaii or something. Maybe I'll do my schoolwork there. Either way, let's go into your Unit 4 project. So here's your overview. In this project, you will examine the insanity defense and its effect on specific cases as well as society in general. In order to do this, you examine 2 real-life cases involving the insanity defense. As you research and analyze the information about your 2 cases, form your own educated opinion about the insanity defense and its use in our society. At the end of this project, you will describe your point of view using the medium of persuasive blog post. So if you ever watch Law and Order or any police show like that where they go to court, you've probably heard people say, I plead insanity, saying that, maybe I committed the crime, but I wasn't in a right state of mind, and so I can't really be culpable for it. I can't be put in prison. I need to be put in maybe a hospital, or I need to be watched over. That's what you're going to learn about this unit. You're going to look at 2 different cases, one where the insanity defense worked and one where it didn't, and you're going to form your own opinion on whether or not you think that the insanity defense is something that should be allowed in our courts today. So here's some specific guidelines on what you're going to do for your project. So in lesson 16, you're going to download the project packet. If you have any problems doing that, feel free to let me know. I can help you out, but it's pretty straightforward. If you are having troubles, I don't care if you put all the information in a Google Doc and type it there, as long as you give me the right heading so I know where you're at. That's fine for me too. So you'll download that project packet and then briefly research a few of the cases and pick one guilty outcome case and one non-guilty outcome case to further explore. So that's all you got to do for that one, is decide which 2 cases you're going to look at and write each of those cases down. In lesson 17, I want you to research your guilty outcome case and answer the following questions. First, who the defendant was, what the general case details were, what was the crime, what factors were important to the case, what court processes were followed, did the case go to trial, did it end with a plea bargain, did the judge decide the issues, what insanity factors were described in the case, did the defendant have a history of mental illness, did any of the defendant's actions suggest that he or she was mentally ill when the crime was committed, did the prosecution submit any argument indicating that the defendant was sane when the crime was committed, what the verdict and sentence were. Was the defendant sentenced to prison or a mental institution, or was there a completely different result? And make sure to cite your sources in MLA format, just letting me know where you got your information from for that. So that's lesson 17, just telling me all about the case, just analyzing it for me. Lesson 18, you're going to do the same thing as lesson 17, but you're going to use your non-guilty outcome case. Then lesson 19, answer the following questions in your project packet. If you had been the defense attorney in each of your cases, would you have used the insanity defense for each client? Why or why not? Do you think the defendants in each of your cases benefited from the use of the insanity defense? Why or why not? So, did it help them or did it not? Or was it really no use to them? If the insanity defense keeps a person from being convicted, is that person better off than if he or she were sent to prison? Why or why not? If an insanity plea is successful in preventing a conviction, what are the implications for society? What that means is if somebody is found, maybe not guilty by reason of insanity, what does that mean for us today? What does it mean? Does it mean that, somebody who's dangerous could be roaming society? Or could you look at it from the flip point of view and say it means that people that are mentally ill are going to be able to get the help that they need? That's something that you're going to have to decide for yourself as you review this information. Similarly, what are the implications for society when an insanity plea is unsuccessful? And then in lesson 20, the last part, in this section of your project, you will write a persuasive blog post of at least 3 paragraphs in order to persuade other people to feel as you do about the insanity defense. Use examples from your cases to back up your points. Also, if you use one of your cited sources from lessons 17 and 18 to support your arguments, then make sure that you copy and paste that citation into the space provided within your project packet. So I want you to actually take a side here. Don't be wishy-washy and say, well, it's kind of good, it's kind of bad. For the purpose of this blog post, just take a position. After you did your research, are you for the insanity defense or are you against it? And write 3 paragraphs just explaining why. Maybe talk about things that you learned in the cases. Talk about whatever it is that drove you to make that decision. Make sure it's at least 3 paragraphs. Make sure to do a good job and be persuasive here. And that's it. You'll kind of work on it throughout. If you work on it throughout, it's going to be a lot easier than if you wait till the last minute. But it's students in the past have told me that it's a worthwhile project that's really helped open their eyes and helped them understand the insanity defense more, helped understand how people's minds worked, maybe why they do what they do, and why they make the decisions that they make. So if you have any questions, as always, feel free to let me know. I'm always here to help you. But other than that, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you guys have a great week. Thanks, guys.